Hello and welcome to another in my series of playing Germany. And this playthrough we're going to be playing Germany, but in what I consider the most dominant path possible, where they're going to switch to democracy and form the EU, but in a slightly different way than one might expect. So I've got several items I'm going to go over here as far as critical events in order to be successful here. Other than a 1936 start, we're going to trigger a war with France early in the game and intentionally lose that war so that France changes the political scene in Germany and makes them a democracy. This war loss will take place in 1936, right at the end. In addition to that, shortly after that war ends, we'll be triggering a war with the Dutch East Indies and we'll be annexing via the Anschluss focus uh, Austria, and that will put Germany in a position of strength. Having initially being weakened by a loss to France, they're immediately going to flip and reverse that situation by defeating the Dutch East Indies, in particular the country the Netherlands, thus causing the capitulation of the Dutch East Indies. Following that, we're going to be executing Sudetenland to increase our territory and our size, and we'll be taking all of Czechoslovakia in this playthrough. And then we'll be triggering World War II by invading Poland. We will end World War II in 1940 by executing Operation Sea Lion. And finally, we'll be invading Italy in 1941, giving us all the territory required to form the EU. So that's our playthrough, that's our plan. Rather than wait any further, let's go ahead and jump into the game. So we're going to be doing a single player game, a new game, 1936 start, just as I was stating previously, playing as Germany, Iron Man, and historical AI focuses. We're going to go ahead and play into that file name. Again, it will be a new game, 1936 start. We're just reusing that file name. Setup is critical here. Your first year is how you set the stage for this to succeed. And before you even start that first year, you've got to align your uh, construction uh, and research and your manpower in order to be successful. So the first thing I'm going to jump to is I'm going to shift click on unassigned division, put them in a single army, and that single army is going to have a single order, which is to defend those two states uh, just outside the contiguous borders of Germany. And the reason we do this is if you lose a war as Germany and your manpower is on the main territory of Germany, not this isolated pocket, but the main territory, you take a hit to your manpower, you take a hit to number of trains, you take a hit to your convoys, you lose resources as part of the treaty ending the war. I don't want to lose any of that stuff. I need to keep that stuff. So I'm going to be isolating my Air Force and my Army up here. The Navy doesn't take the same kind of hit. So I'm going to leave my Navy mostly working up in these sea zones up here. But anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up. That's what I'm doing. Besides just putting them up there, I'm going to be changing the template used by 3 of those divisions. I'm going to switch that template over to the Panzer Division template. So for the initial manpower that Germany starts with, I'm done manipulating them. But that's not enough manpower to complete all of my goals. So I'm also going to be training 12 divisions, but I'm going to repeat train 12 divisions at a time, 4 times in a row. Or in other words, I'll be augmenting my total manpower by an additional 48 divisions. And those divisions, when they are available to be deployed, will deploy to that province and they will auto join my existing 30 division army. So if everything goes as planned, I start with 30. I'm going to get 48 more. I'm going to have 78 divisions all stuffed up here when I go to war with France and I lose the war with France. Again, I'm going to have a large army, but that army is not going to fight. We're going to just basically roll over and play dead for the French. Okay, let's move on to our next stuff, which is research. I like to get that tech done so I can extend the range of my Messerschmitts. So I'm going to go ahead and start that research. In addition, I like to accelerate my research speed. This tech gives me an additional 3% research speed. And I also, at the beginning of the game, want to increase my capacity to manufacture equipment and my ability to construct new factories. That's why I'm making the decisions I made. In addition to that, something I've never seen on anybody else's videos is building here at the very beginning. And this is intentional. The reason I'm building in those 3 states is that as I'm being invaded, the states that France is going to occupy will all be the western states all the way up until the point that they get to Berlin. Well, Berlin is still west of the states I'm building in. If I lose control of a state while construction is proceeding, all progress on whatever item I'm building is lost and I have to start over. Because these states will never be lost during the war, I never will lose any production or construction progress. So now I'm simply isolating or identifying what I'm going to build after infrastructure, and that's going to be civilian factories. So these 3 states are being identified as my build sites. Why? Because I'll maintain control of them throughout the war. Even though I'm going to lose the war, I won't lose progress of construction in those states. Now, military factories. I need to build infantry equipment in order to be successful here. Why? Because I'm building or I'm training 48 divisions, and they're all infantry divisions. So I need a lot of infantry equipment to be manufactured. In addition, I need tanks to be manufactured. So I'm going to put 5 on tanks there, and I've got the 5 additional up here. Well, theoretically, I'm now out of military factories to assign. Well, as part of my success strategy in taking out the Dutch East Indies, I will have all the rubber I need for the entire game. So I'm not even going to bother building anything with rubber at the very beginning here. So I'm just going to remove those items from the queue, and I'm going to add 4 total military factories to support equipment, 2 onto towed artillery, and the rest I'm going to put up here into infantry equipment. So I have 17, 4, 2, and 5. That's how I'm distributing my military factories to begin with. And I won't have any additional military factories that I will be building between now and the end of the war. That's all I'm going to have. So as long as I'm in the manufacturing side or interface, let's also talk about these ships that all have this brownish background. These are considered outdated designs, and I don't want any of them. Even though some of them have a lot of progress, they're almost done, I don't want any of them in my Navy. So I'm going to start assigning dockyards to build other items in my queue. And as I assign them, I'm going to change the order in which those ships appear in the queue. That now gives me the flexibility to delete these ones I didn't want at all anyway. And the dockyards that are assigned to them get reassigned based on the order of this queue. So now I've got a cruiser that will be built by January 26th. Then all 5 of those, because I'm only building one of them, all 5 of those dockyards will fall down to here, and I'll have 7 dockyards building this destroyer. And I don't need 4 and 4 and 4 of the same destroyer. I'm just going to set this to 1. And the only reason I'm building that one is because it has partial progress. Rinse and repeat here, partial progress, so I want it to complete. But down here, I'm going to set this to the infinity symbol. I want to constantly build destroyers with only 5 dockyards assigned to it. That's why I'm doing this. And I'm going to remove the 1 and set that down to infinity. I want to consistently build battleships after the fact. So these 3 will be built forever, those 3 designs, or at least until I decide to manually come back in here and change things around. So for manufacturing, I've got all my land-based equipment assigned to, with military factories assigned to them. I have all my ships with dockyards assigned to them. So I've set that up for a good portion of the game that I don't have to babysit it much at all. So where am I going next? The F1 key shows your land-based troops. Your F2 key shows your ships, and I need to manage my ships. That's manage my navy. And I'm going to take this submarine and I'm going to hold the shift key down and click here on naval exercises, telling those 8 submarines train to level 3, and they'll train in whatever sea zone they're currently in. Because they're in that naval base, they're going to train in this sea zone. I'm going to take these 6 and I'm just going to merge them into that existing fleet. All 14 can be in one fleet and they can all train together. The other thing I'm going to do for that Navy is I'm going to give that Navy an admiral. And I'm also going to rinse and repeat and give my other Navy, my surface fleet Navy, an admiral as well. This is going to be the training Navy for the surface fleet. Or let me restate that. This is going to be the training fleet for the surface Navy. I don't need these 2 isolated ships to be in their own fleet, so I'm going to merge them with the 10. This will be my fleet that actually does combat or participates in combat. They're going to have an order called Strike Force, and I'm going to right click on those 2 sea zones, operate against hostile navies in those 2 sea zones is basically what I've told it to do. However, 5 of their ships are not trained to level 3, so I'm going to reassign them to the training fleet. So I've got training for subs and surface ships, and I've got battle orders for the ships that have already trained to level 3. So that's everything I need to do for the Navy. So Army, Navy, what am I missing? Air Force. So I'm going to take my entire Air Force, which, if left alone and with a losing war, would cause me to lose large portions, if not all of my Air Force. I'm going to relocate to that isolated location. They're not going to do anything there other than park there. So I'm going to hit F1. They're all going to relocate to the air base in that isolated territory, which will not be impacted by the loss that I'm going to incur to France. Now, I do also have a research center for land warfare. I'm going to give that research center, this isn't going to make or break my win at all, my forming the EU. I just like to remove it. I like to fill it out so that it's no longer an annoyance that keeps popping up during the game. So again, I could care less about special research slots. This is not a training guide for special research at all. And finally, I'm going to go ahead and choose remilitarize Rhineland. Those people who have played democratic Germany in the typical path recognize that this is making a choice here eliminates your ability to be democratic. And I agree with you. If you wanted to go the normal route, you need to come over here and rally the Wehrmacht, and you need to move against Hitler. It used to be a focus called oppose Hitler. Same difference. The goal is you're going to get rid of Hitler. And if you wanted to get rid of Hitler and go communist, you'd then take this path after you win the Civil War. If you wanted to go monarchist, you'd take this path after winning the war. If you want to go democratic, you take this path after winning the Civil War. I will have none of that. I'm going to be doing remilitarized Rhineland because our way of becoming democratic is through the assistance of France, stipulating that we are now a democratic nation after we lose to France. So I think we've got everything set up that we need set up. Let's go ahead and accelerate the speed. Let's zoom in a little. And what we can expect from all of these land-based troops is they're going to start moving to the coast, hopping on convoys, and going over here. It's exactly what we want them to do. And to avoid um, attrition, or to reduce attrition, I'm going to do one more thing. And that one more thing is to increase the rail capacity from a level 1 rail line to a level 2 rail line right here. The reason we're doing that is so that I can have 20 supply here. That's that second number. Instead of being 15, will be 20. The first number is the demand. How much supply is in demand? 3 out of 15. 9 out of 20. Well, if I can get 20 to this naval base, I can have a level 2 rail line getting 20 to that supply depot. So that should be completed in 3 days. You can see as my troops arrive, we're having some supply challenges. I did finish building the rail line. I'm going to unpause again. There, now we've got 20 at that location. The only thing that's causing a supply pain point right now is that my motorization priority is to horses. I'm going to switch it over to trucks. And I'm going to hit F4 again and see how that impacts supply. There, now that we're using trucks to get a supply from the supply depots, it provides a greater range of supply throughout the territories. So anyway, trying to reduce attrition, I built that rail line. All right, hit F1 again. We're on the 17th of January. Our first focus will complete in 18 days. So shortly after that, or immediately after that focus completes, we have to pause the game and we've got to do a couple things to allow us to convert to democracy with the assistance of France. So we've got 6 days to go, 5 days to go. You can see the countdown right below the mouse pointer. There we are. Our first focus is complete. Rather than pick a focus right now, I'm just moving it out of the way. I do have 117 political power, which gives me the flexibility to come over here and right click on Syria, and I'm going to justify a war goal. The reason we are doing this is because when you justify as a fascist or a communist nation, it requires no special requirements other than that you be alive. Um, that justification does take time, um, but it's against, right now, a puppet nation, a colony of France. And if you end up declaring war on a puppet of a country, the parent country is also drawn into the war. So by doing this, I'm going to create a minimal amount of world tension, 1% of world tension, but it will draw France into a war with me, a war I intend to lose. So we've picked our first national focus. Now we need to pick our next one. And our next national focus is still, and make a note here before I talk about my next national focus. Notice that alternate path, the path to oppose Hitler, is gone. When you choose a focus that has an option one versus the other, it is common in the current version of the game that it delete the focus tree underneath the one that you did not choose. So anyway, my next focus is coming down here to Fuhrer Princip. Well, I'm just going to restate this as the Fuhrer Advisors. And what is that reference? Well, the inner circle of Adolf Hitler has 3 special advisors. And if you play the fascist path, and if you've played it in the past, you can fill 3 of those positions. I personally have a preference of Todt for my first one, The reason is because he increases the speed of building what I'm trying to build right now, which is infrastructure, civilian factories, and railroads. He does that. But I can't pick any advisors until I finish this first. Some of you may be asking yourself, well, if you're going to be democratic, this is a pointless decision. And I would agree with you 99% of the time until I saw another YouTuber, Bubble Zest, I believe, who showed that you can actually make these decisions and choose these Fuhrer advisors, and they continue to work even though you've flipped to democratic Germany. And I'm going to pick two of them to my advantage. And the first one is the manufacturing, the engineering one. So we're moving along here at a good pace. I'm going to pause for a moment here. This you don't really care about, you just acknowledge it. But I'm going to hit F2. And the reason I'm going to hit F2 is because I've already built out two of my ships I was going to do anyway. And I'm going to create a new training specific fleet. And this fleet is going to get an icon here. And they're not going to shift click. I'm just going to click on naval exercise. Naval exercise into infinity, but I'm going to have them operate out of that port right there. And when they're operating out of this port, it's in this C zone, so they train in that C zone. And now that I've built two of them, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, when you complete construction, auto join my training fleet. Same thing for the other ships I'm going to be building out here. Auto join my surface training fleet. So those are all set to auto join. I do have some spare naval experience, and now I'm going to build or add an item to the queue, but I need to modify it first. I don't have any submarines I'm building, but I'm changing that. I'm designing a new sub. I'm giving it a mile, and I'm going to save it. And that will be the last ship or combat vessel that I will add to the queue. I'm going to give it up to 5 naval dockyards, but there's currently not a combat fleet for submarine or to train submarines. I do have a surface training fleet, but I want a submarine training fleet. Eventually we will have one, just not yet. But anyway, this guy should be done on the 27th of March. Why? Because he's got 10 dockyards pumping hard to complete that construction. So where do I want to go next? Let's add one more. That's going to be convoys. Convoys, you don't pick a fleet that they join, they simply deploy, and it will augment this count here. I need a lot more convoys than I currently have as the game unfolds and as I rule as democratic Germany. But anyway, did a little bit of cleanup work. We still have this national focus waiting to be completed. So we've got 8 days, 7 days, counting down. Once we get to 0, we need to pick which advisor, Fuhrer advisor, we want to pick. There we go. National focus complete. And what are the one? Who did I say I was going to pick? I'm going to pick Tote. The reason I'm picking this guy is for construction. He will help me build stuff faster, and it only takes 14 days for him to become available. So this is another one we're just going to babysit. Oh, let's pause for a moment. Something I haven't been babysitting, but I should have been babysitting, is I need to start deploying these guys. I've waited arguably what could be a little too long, but I'm going to go ahead and deploy them so I get another group of 12 being trained. I'm deploying them early. This is intentional. So where's my advisor? We got 8 days to go. So you are juggling stuff in this early stage of the game so that you're positioned to dominate in the rest. All right, that advisor's done. Let's go to details. I want to pick a second one. I can't yet. And the reason you cannot is you have to wait 175 days before you can pick a second advisor. 175 days in focus time is very easy to calculate in the German focus tree. Why? Many, not all, but many of the German focuses are 35 days in length. 5 35-day focuses is 175 days. So now I've got to pick 5 35-day focuses before I get my next advisor. We're going to start with this one right here because this individual is going to raise my um, he's going to raise my war support. That's this value right here. And the reason we care about war support is we want to, at some point, go to war economy, but it requires 50% war support. We're only at 46. Choosing this national focus will get us above 50%, so we can do war support. But we're not going to do it right away. I just want to have all the ducks aligned so that I can do it. Okay, we're coming back out here to babysit uh, our uh, construction. And then one more thing we need to deal with now that we've done it several focuses, we want to cancel the MIFO bills. We don't want them running anymore. Why? We're not going to do the 4-year plan. The 4-year plan is a pain point for this solution. The 4-year plan impacts your ability to produce political power, which is a critical currency that you spend throughout the game. And if you go to war, it is even more painful. And we're going to start a war in 1936. And in 1936, we don't need the 4-year plan to be torturing us. So again, not doing it. We're not going to play that game. So we have our first research slot available. I shouldn't say added research slot. I should say first research completed. And we're going to go ahead and assign that research slot to additional accelerated research. The one that just completed now, we're going to go ahead and just assign to radio. We're going to unpause and just keep moving down the road. So I need to deploy these guys because I've got at least 20% training under their belt. So I got another group trained enough to deploy. So I've got 24 out of my 48 deployed. Are they well trained? No, they're absolutely not. I don't need them well trained. I just need them deployed. Okay, our first of 5 focuses is done. Let's get our second of 5. Notice you could do Anschluss right now. Bad idea. If you do Anschluss before you fight and lose to France, if you do it, you end up giving back all the Austrian territory you gained from Anschluss. Wait till you lose to France, then execute Anschluss. So don't touch it yet. We're going to start impacting or start down our economic focus tree. And prioritize economic growth is the first one we're going to do. And there's a penalty for choosing this. And when I say penalty, I mean you're going to take a huge hit to the number of civilian factories you have working for you. So I'm going to click start. You're going to see right here, add civilian economy. I have under partial mobilization, I have 35 factories, half of which are doing consumer goods. When you switch to uh, the economic laws to civilian economy, instead of, you can see a 25% number down here, instead of that, you have 35%. You dedicate even more to your consumer goods, and that just cripples you. So we're going to have a way of getting around that. Just got to be patient here. This is going to trigger the pain point. And another item that we're dealing with right here is when does this end? The paying off the MIFA bills, June 1st. So these are going to wrap up pretty close to the same time. This is wonderful. So we are on our second 35-day focus. The reason I keep bringing that up is after 5, you then pick your second Fuhrer advisor. Keep going. You're almost there. All right. Here's one pain point. You've paid off your MIFO bills. We no longer get the advantages of MIFO bill payments, but you also, because you don't have the MIFO bills anymore, we were at 18, now we're at 23. We don't even have a full 15 civilian factories to build with. It gets worse. Watch this in 2 days. 34, 35. We had 13. How many do we have now? We got 2. That's atrocious. Let's start fixing that. And in order to do that, we need political power. I'm not going to pick my next focus yet. I'm going to go into here and I'm going to change or hire an economic reformer. And look at that first line with that yellow minus 15% on it. That reduces the amount of factories I have to dedicate to consumer goods and factories by 15%. So I had 2. Now I've hired that advisor. I now have 7. I just gained 5. That's good, but not good enough. One of the other bonuses is it reduces economic laws, these laws, by 33%. They used to be 150 to pick. Now they're only 100. Look, I'm over 50% war support. I can jump to war economy right now. Fantastic. Now, I went from 2 to 7. How many do I have now? Whoa, big difference. So I'm still trying to optimize how many civilian factories I have working for me at any one time. So that's how you counter what can be an unplanned for pain point by choosing prioritize economic growth. I quickly countered it with 2 things. One, an advisor. The other with war economy. War economy would not have been possible if I had not already picked this guy right there. I already picked him. That's what bumped up my war support so that I could pick war economy. Now, next one I'm going to pick is this guy right here. This will be our third. Um, Once again, this will be our third focus. We're waiting to complete 5 35-day focuses. Why do I bother with this one? I get 1 free civilian factory, but more importantly, it reduces the pain point of recovering economy by reducing its consumer goods and factory penalty by an additional 20%. So we're going to start that 35-day focus right now. And let's see the numbers up here. I'm just going to put my mouse right there on consumer goods and factories. And third line from the bottom, recovering economy has a penalty of 75% of my civilian factories having to go to consumer goods. This reduces it from 75 to 55. We will be freeing up more civilian factories for what I really need to be doing right now, which is building. Build, build, build. That's what you got to do at the beginning of the game. All right, let's also deploy my troops. Why is this guy not getting anything yet? Well, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to deploy those 11. There, now these guys are actually getting materials. Oh, one thing I want to do is I want to bump this up. All right, we've completed another item of research. And when you complete this, that opens up your opportunity to choose which type of factory you want to research. I prefer dispersed industry, and I choose it because I'll be constantly on top of infantry and other equipment research, and the dispersed industry is more flexible to changing what you're using the factories to build with. This builds more. Look at factory output plus 15%. Look at factory output here plus 10%. But look at production efficiency retention plus 10% doesn't even exist here. There is no efficiency retention. When you change what you're building in these factories, like maybe you go from level 1 infantry equipment to level 2 infantry equipment, these factories restart their efficiency. So they're very inefficient at first. These are much more efficient. But anyway, I choose the dispersed industry. Okay, we are slowly but surely getting more political power. That's good. I need to babysit these guys and get them deployed when they're available. We're at 18% training, or 16%, 18% equipped, 16% training. Come on, need equipment, 19, 20. Boom. Let's deploy that one simply so that he can get equipment again. All right, Kingdom of Afghanistan sinks investment. I don't care about Afghanistan at all. Let's get some of these deployed, more deployed. Oh, I finished my third research. And this will be 4 and this will be 5. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to chase this very early in the game, getting me my 5th research slot. This unlocks the 5th one, but it requires 50 factories. Trust me, we're going to be in a great position to do that. So let's go ahead and choose that focus. Let's backtrack. I had 17 up here. Now I've got 16 up here, and I've got more available. How many am I building now? I did complete uh, uh, building civilian factories from the last time I looked. We're going to be building another one here in another 8 days. We are again strengthening our position significantly here by that construction. All right, we're at 124 political power. I am considering doing this as my next one, but if I come back out here, um, I'm looking for a specific advisor. This guy right here. I'm going to actually pick this advisor next because he reduces consumer goods and factories by an additional 10%. And again, it just puts me in a stronger place to build, 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 build. Hey, go, go. Sorry about that. My dogs are yiping. Anyway, let's keep going. Unpause and keep on trucking. Well, actually, I may do the other advisor. I'm not sure. Advisor versus um, increasing speed for research on industry. I still think I'm going to do the industry research is what I'm going to do. All right. Can we deploy? Yes, we can. Got 2 left to deploy. 146, 147, 149, and 150. Yeah, I'm going to do this one, which increases industrial research speed by 15%. Let's knock that one out. Then the next advisor is going to be this guy. Need another 150 political power to get there. Okay. Almost done. Six days to go, 5 and counting. The advantage of doing this is it will complete infrastructure. It'll raise this infrastructure by 1, by 2, by 1, by 1. It builds 5 infrastructure in 35 days. That's a lot faster than you can build it normally. Look, this one with 10 factories is going to take 50 days to complete. But anyway, 34, 33, or I should say 35, not counting down, counting up. So now that that is complete, let's just confirm. Looky, looky. That infrastructure is all at level 5 now. Fantastic. Now, let's do our next one. Our next one is this one. This is going to give us a couple more civilian factories. So in 35 days, that'll put us into September. And let's do a right click here just so we can see some of the setup here. I'm still justifying against Syria, and that justification has 47 days to go. Basically, October 2nd is when I can declare war. That's our main event from the initial slide I showed everybody. And we will do one more focus after this one. That one more focus will be getting our second Fuhrer advisor, and it only takes 14 days to complete. about to get 2 more civilian factories. We're looking very strong here. Oh, almost done. There we go. And now that we've done our 5th 35-day focus, I will be unlocking this advisor. The reason I do this one is not only do I get 15% augmentation to political power gain, or I shouldn't say percent, a 0.15 augmentation. My political advisors cost 15% less. I do love this focus, which it will automatically get researched by that advisor, and it unlocks a spend, but that spend I do will unlock 1 additional research slot per state on the primary territory of Germany. Basically, I get free not free build slots, not research slots, free build slots by doing this. So Bormann is my guy, and in 14 days, which will put me on September 30th, the war will not have broken out yet. Let's get these guys deployed. So I've got all of my troops deployed. So I'm at 78, which is exactly what I predicted previously. I've got all my troops deployed. I've got my Navy all trained. These guys aren't trained, not quite sure. Oh, one thing I didn't do is let them repair. So I'm just clicking on a icon right there, a little button right there, which allows my ships to break off and repair as needed. And I didn't do it there either. Well, now I'm doing it. But it doesn't make or break the game this early. I like to do it later, or I like to do it normally at the beginning. I just overlooked it. So on September 30th, that'll be the completion of this focus. There we are, September 30th. We've got our 2nd Fuhrer advisor. Now, my next choice is important. And the reason I say that is this is really interesting. I might be able to do Anschluss right now. I haven't done it here, or maybe it's been a while since I've done it here, but it's a 70-day focus. The war's going to end in less than 70 days. I'm going to do this one right now. I'm going to do Anschluss because it doesn't cancel if you go to war. It only cancels, or I should say, it's only unavailable if you don't qualify for it. Well, I qualify for it, so I'm going to choose it. This is going to get Anschluss completed. Yeah, this will be entertaining. Let's do Anschluss right now. So I'm going to be fighting war against France while annexing Austria. The war with France will end, and I'll still be chasing Anschluss. So I will end up annexing Austrian territory immediately after losing a war to France. Yes, I like that. So we're doing Anschluss. We're going to go ahead and unpause. We've got 2 days until we declare war. 1, 2. So go out to Syria, say declare war. Boom. And this icon appears up at the top, which shows that not only did my declaration of war work with Syria, but it also dragged France into the fight as well. This bluish instead of greenish shaded is also a puppet of France, but this country is not joining the war, or has yet to join the war. I should say they could, but they're not in the war. So Anschluss is still proceeding. And you can see Belgium was invited by France to join the war. Come on, France, get your butt in here. France is taking its sweet time to engage. It hasn't even sent troops across into Rhineland yet. There, finally, wake up, France. Well, I've never seen it play out like this. This is random how territory is won or lost, but I've never seen France be so passive before. They're finally starting to do something. I'm just monitoring it, and the reason I'm monitoring it is I have to. I cannot afford that. Oh, don't do this to me. Oh, I'm already in Anschluss. We should be okay. Uh, 75. Yeah, that still leaves me enough to do justify. The first time I've seen that before. This is interesting. All right. Well, it looks like Belgium is the country that's going to finish the war with me. Come on. You're almost there. Good. I didn't lose my troops. There. Now uh, I've paused the game because I know I have troops on the border of Berlin. When you lose Berlin, the war ends. And while I'm still fascist, right here, fascist Germany, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to right click and justify a war goal against the Dutch East Indies. And now I want to lose that war lickety split. There we go. War's over. We're at 1 a.m. on the 16th of November. The war has ended. I'm still chasing Anschluss. So in 33 days, they will be mine. I will end up annexing Austria. But I need to take my current army and I need to restructure it. And when I say restructure, I need to first sort by what type of template we're referring to. And I'm going to take all those tank templates at the bottom. I'm holding shift down as I click them, and I'm going to put them into their own army. Then I'm going to go back to that 72 division army. I'm going to sort by what level of training are you at. And I'm going to grab all the divisions, shift clicking, 24 of them, which are trained to level 3. And the reason I'm doing that is I want my trained army to invade the Netherlands, not my untrained army. So that's 24. They're in a new army. This is cosmetic. It doesn't make you win or lose. I'm just changing the color to my preferential color here for that army. And I'm going to put them right there on that border and give them an offensive line order, which is to invade in that direction. Now, here's my problem. Convoys. I only have one. Well, I shouldn't say I have one. I have 26. One is currently not in use. I need to change this, my build orders for ships, and put convoys at the top because I need to build convoys as quickly as possible. So I unassigned naval dockyards to those two build orders, and that freed up all but the last one there. I could have deleted them, but I would lose all my progress, and I don't want to lose my progress. So I've got 8 up here building convoys, which will accelerate my ability to transport the 24 divisions from that isolated territory over here. So now I'm going to unpause, and you can see the Green Army is trying to relocate. And let me finish picking stuff out here real quick so that I get my Green Army. I can see them. There you got 6 divisions moving across. So I need to do that 4 more times to get all 20, or 3 more times to get all 24 over here. The Green Army will be in combat shortly, so I'm going to give them a general. And F3, I'm going to take my Air Force. I'm going to merge everything. So I'm doing a little bit of Air Force cleanup. These are transport planes. Transport planes are used for 2 things. One, dropping paratroopers. The other is doing air supply. Neither mission will be something I'm going to do in this playthrough at all, so I'm just going to remove them from the list. These are my naval bombers. I'm going to relocate them over here. And I have 5 air wings, one not complete for my medium bombers. I'm not going to build any more medium bombers for a long, 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 long time, if at all, during the game. So I'm going to take this incomplete air wing and I'm going to delete it. I still have 80 airplanes, but those airplanes will become spares when these air wings take damage. So those are done. That's relocated, looking good. So I'm going to take the 400, the 80, and the 280, give them two combat orders. One is for the fighters, air superiority is your order. For the bombers, both the small and the medium bombers, close air support. I'm going to click right here, which is assign them to that green army. So when that green army starts attacking, they get an air force fighting with them. So that's why I've made that decision right there. So we unpause. We got 6 unloaded and we should get 6 more. There we go. There's our 6 more moving across. And if you look up here, you can see that I now have, instead of 25, 28 convoys, 29 convoys. Why is that number growing? Because I'm still building convoys. My last of my green army is in the ocean and then has completely relocated. Fantastic. Now I'm going to take these 6 and these 6 cosmetically. I'm making changes. Doesn't make them fight better or worse. I'm just changing them so I can see them more easily on the battlefield. So I'm going to give them an order to show up in those 2 provinces. And I should have plenty of convoys to relocate them. Anschluss is complete. Fantastic. Let's click OK. Austria is about to become part of Germany. Fantastic. So we can control all the former Austrian territory. We do have 6 additional divisions out here. I'm just going to put them in their own army for now and leave them be. I'm not doing anything with them for the moment. But now that we've completed Anschluss, let's look here first. I have 56 civilian factories. Why? Austrians had built civilian factories and military factories, and their civilian factory count augmented my total count so that I'm above 50. Why do I want to be above 50? Because I want to do this focus right here, which is a 70-day focus to unlock my 5th research slot. Fantastic. I want to do that as my next one. So, how are we looking? I think we're looking pretty good here. Let's go ahead and unpause. 10th of December, we're unpausing. Anschluss is just a notification. Hey, guess what? You finished it. Yes, I did. I don't care about Yugoslavia. Let's move over here. Oh, I am in fantastic shape to quickly take out the Dutch. Let's also, while we're here, give my fighting tanks a general as well. How are we looking? We're looking fantastic here. Well, it looks like we temporarily lost access to our research facility because Brandenburg fell. Yeah, and when it fell, we lost access to it, but we've reassigned a scientist back to that research facility. All right, another research item knocked out. Fantastic. And let's look at our build queue. Because it enabled more build slots on these 3 states, we're just going to build an additional civilian factory in each of them. So we went from starting our reformed economy with only 2 civilian factories available for manufacturing, for building. Now we've got, with the inclusion of Anschluss and the Austrian factories, we've got 37 available for build, and it's only going to get larger, and that number is only going to get bigger. So as long as I'm here and I've got over 150 political power, another guy I'm going to pick is this guy right here, because he builds infrastructure and civilian factories faster. He also reduces the number of consumer goods or factories we have to dedicate to consumer goods. So this is another one that we're going to pick. Now, even more factories available out here. We're in a very strong position as democratic Germany. So when will this complete? This will complete on the 30th of December. So we've got 8 days to go. Bizarre way that France fought this war. They didn't send any troops in. Normally this finishes a lot sooner. I would say 1 to 2 weeks earlier is when it normally completes. But oh well, we're on the 30th of December. I'm now going to declare war on the child or the puppet country, which automatically brings in the parent, excuse me, and I'm going to enable both of those offensive lines, or actually there's only one, and this guy, we don't even need that line anymore. So I'm going to grab those 7 troops, and this is where I do a little bit of micro. I'm going to send them that direction. I'm going to grab all 8 of those troops. I'm going to send them that direction, and then I'm going to take 1 away from the tanks, and I'm going to take 1 away from the infantry and go that direction. I'm going to take these 3 and say, keep that guy busy. I'm going to take these 4 and go that direction. I'm going to take these 3, send them right there and in there, and I'm going to take these 5 and send them down there. So that's the micro you have to do to accelerate or to optimize the time frame it takes to cause the Netherlands to capitulate. If I simply clicked go and gave my tanks an order to go in that general vicinity, it would still go fairly quickly. This way it goes a little bit faster. So let's unpause and see how this plays out. So already we're pushing the boundaries of causing the Netherlands to capitulate. You're going to go there. You're going to go here. And if this falls, they all fall. There it goes. So even though they haven't said it yet, we're at 6 p.m. The capitulations always occur at 1 a.m. the next day. If we look at the Netherlands, it's 100% capitulated. I'm going to slow things down just so we can catch it right at 1 a.m. There we go. 1 a.m. on the 4th of January. The Netherlands have fallen. Fantastic. So, decisions I have to make right now is, what am I going to do with my troops? I'm going to take this army. I'm going to split it in 2. Then I'm going to take this army, the one that just did the fight. I'm going to put it under a field marshal. I'm going to change, this is for cosmetic purposes only, change its color to white. If I do field marshal lines, they'll be white lines. Then I'm going to take those 2 infantry armies and add them. I'm going to change this one to brown, or excuse me, to yellow. Let's restate that to yellow. This one to this orangish color. And that orangish color is goofy. And you can see I already played with the slider, but it's still goofy. When I draw that color with a frontline order, to me, it has too much similarity, and you can even see it when you compare it to Switzerland, to red and not orange. So I play with these sliders so it looks more orangish, so I never confuse it with red. To me now, on my screen, it looks more orange. So this army is coming over here. The yellow army, I'm going to have come over here. And I'm going to do a field marshal order, which will include any and all armies that don't already have an assignment. If you do a field marshal order and these three armies don't have an assignment, all three armies join the field marshal order. So I'm going to do a front line right there. Only the Green Army doesn't currently have an order. So only the Green Army will come over here initially. I'm fine with that. Now I'm going to take my tanks and I'm going to give them a fallback line here. And I'm going to take these 6 divisions that I got from Austria. I'm going to add them to the tank army, but I'm going to change their template to a tank template. So a little bit of tweaks here and there just to optimize things. So the question is, well, I thought you beat the Netherlands. Why aren't you picking what you want to get out of that defeat of the Netherlands? The reason being is the war started on the 30th of December. All wars must take at least 7 days or you don't get a peace conference until the 7th day. We beat them in 5 days. So in 2 more days, we will get a peace conference with the Netherlands. We just have to wait our 7-day window. So before we deal with the peace conference, let's go ahead and jump back out here and let's pick our next item we're going to research, which is fuel refining. Looking good there. And we still have, so it's January 4th. The Netherlands have been defeated. Anschluss is complete. Germany has a total of 73 million. And I'm looking at the total manpower section, which is the second big section in that pop-up window. Total manpower 1.83 million, 2.5% because of our current conscription law. Of 73 million, we've grown our population up to 73 million by the annexation of Austria. But it says percentage of eligible non-core population available. It currently says 8.2 million. That's going to change significantly shortly. Why? Because Indonesia is a ridiculously populated country and we're going to take large swaths of Indonesia here. So let's unpause. Let's wait till the 6th, unless I did my math wrong and it happens on the 5th, but I think it's going to happen on the 6th. So there's the 5th, and at 1 a.m. on the 6th, we get our peace conference. There we are. Now I get to decide, how do I want to dismantle the Netherlands? So you get the parent country and its puppet country to make decisions with. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the parent country and I'm going to take Suriname and I'm going to right click on Suriname so you can see why. Takes me over there. 115 aluminum. That's used to build airplanes. I want that. I'm also going to take Curacao. Why? 67 oil. I want that. Holland. I could care less about their continental holdings. I don't care at all about their continental holdings. But we're going to think on that here for a moment here first. Let's jump out here to the Dutch East Indies, Kalimantan. Kalimantan has 7 oil. I need oil. 108 rubber. That's more rubber than I produce in total. So yeah, I want Kalimantan. But I don't want it so much for the resources as I want it for the border that it shares with British Malaya. Java. I absolutely want Java. Why? 21 oil, 302 rubber. Yeah, that's a big bonus for me. Lesser Sunda Islands, 20 rubber. I could care less, but I'm going to take it anyway. And the reason I'm taking it is because this has a land border with Java. And if I leave it with the Dutch or the Dutch East Indies, they can put troops here and invade me without having to do a naval landing. I don't want that, so I take it. Moluccas, that's this area right here. What resources does it have? None. What critical or advantageous position does it have? None. I don't want it. West Papua or Papua. Nothing, nothing. I don't want it. Sumatra. Whoa. 23 oil, 53 aluminum, 288 rubber. Yeah, I want Sumatra. Sulawesi, 50 rubber. I'll take it. Aru Islands, nothing. I don't care about you. So I'm going to submit the change. Those Western Indonesian territories have all become mine, and I'm going to have wonderful resources that I'll be extracting from those islands, which makes Germany, for the most part, resource independent. It was not before, it is now. It has chromium and tungsten challenges, which are easily solvable. Um, but the rubber problem and the oil problem are not easily solvable by Germany. But anyway, what do I want to do next? I want to take their full Navy. So I'm going to take both of those and say submit. And now, if I want to, I could try to take this territory here, but I don't have enough. So I'm just going to ignore the European holdings of the Dutch. So I'm just going to go ahead and confirm and exit. I'm going to pause again. I'm going to jump back to my army right there so I can see it. I gave back all the European territory. I could care less about it. I am not going to give back their colonized territories. And let's look up here now. This icon shows trade, but in particular it shows the resources I have available to me. I had 0 before, and now I've got 168 available, 224 total, 164 I can dedicate to manufacturing. I only had 4, now I've got 60 I can dedicate to manufacturing or maintenance of maintaining my motorized equipment, which includes my airplanes, my ships, and my tanks and trucks, etc., etc. So I'm in great shape there. So it is January 6, 1937. Germany is in a crazy strong position, much stronger than it was a year prior. It's got more population, more territory, more resources. It is a dominant player, and it's democratic. And let's scroll down to the bottom. Why democratic is interesting. You get this choice when you're democratic Germany. Realize European unity. Now I still have to take all of Luxembourg, uh, which is 2 states, all of the Netherlands, again, Belgium, France, and Italy. If I take all those states, I can form the EU, and that's going to be one of our tasks coming up. And I should say that will be the second of the 2 tasks. The first task is to continue to build Germany's manufacturing capacity. So we're going to wrap up our civilian factory production. We're going to then start building military factories. One of the things, or one of the advantages of taking this path is, how many synthetic factories do I need to build? The answer is 0. I will not be building any synthetic factories. I will not be dedicating any research time that you would normally have to do, especially if you do the 4-year plan and you don't take out the Netherlands. You have to start researching these techs so that you increase the number of tires or rubber you produce out of synthetic factories and the amount of oil you get out of synthetic factories. I don't have to chase any of that. I only have to chase this to enhance the number of units of oil I get out of normal oil, not synthetic oil. And I'm going to be chasing this path and these 2 paths, which are normal. These are normal paths you chase in order to increase manufacturing capacity, as well as the type of factory you're producing and how quickly you can build stuff, your construction tech. These are normal. But these, for Germany, were also normal. Don't have to waste time on any of those. I also have my 5th research slot. This is pretty early in the game to have it. So we are in fantastic shape. We're about to have, and I should say, we don't have our 5th research slot. We're going to have it in 42 days, but it will be unlocked. What 42 days puts us just into early March is when I'll have it. still very early in the game. So I'm going to consider this round one for this strategy. Some players at this point might already have enough background in the game to go, if I do this, I know exactly what I want to do for my future. You are golden. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and say good luck. And shortly, I will be starting round two. Round two is the build-up, and round three will be World War II. So the build-up is the most boring part because all you're trying to do is stay on top of construction, stay on top of your infantry divisions and building them out and enhancing them as necessary, and building out your Navy and your Air Force. That's the boring part. Round three will begin with defeating Poland and rolling through Western Europe and taking out Great Britain. So let's go back to our slides and let's get a picture for where we are. Yes, we're already past January 36th. Yes, we just finished this. And in reality, we just finished this. We're 2 events into our 6 events. This is where we are. So what is part 2? Sudetenland, it will probably actually take place in 37. Uh, Poland, that's the trigger of World War II, so that's part of 3. Um, this is also part of 3, which is defeating the United Kingdom. And one can argue maybe I'll do this for part 4, which is a quick invasion of Italy and forming the EU. So I'd like to thank you for joining me, and I wish you the best, and hopefully you join me for round 2.